3. I'll be taking you through stories making headlines across the country this morning. What happened concerning President William Ruto, concerning the Mumias Sugar Company. This is something that is so much intriguing, has been center of debate for the better part of last week and this week across the country. I'll be telling you why. And then the newspapers, the Daily Nation, the Standard and the Star, intriguing topics as well on top of the pages concerning the president, politically speaking, as well as other issues concerning the Mumias Sugar Company. I'll also be telling you why the police are looking for your opinion on their police uniform, even as they are looking to change police uniform to something completely different. So your feedback is highly welcome. Engage with us through this broadcast. But how about we get started on the latest making headlines across the country? Now, leaders drawn from Azimio la Umoja, One Kenya coalition have criticized President William Ruto's hard stance against select tycoons accused of manipulating the sugar sector. During his tour of the Western Kenya on Monday, the head of state insisted that he will not allow individuals, he argued, cartels to operate within the industry. Among those the president has named is billionaire Jaswarant Rai, who last week on Friday was abducted by unknown men suspected to be police and later released. But why is the focus so much now on this particular family? Here is that report. The abduction was among the first signs that things were not well for the billionaire family, used to eating life's goodies with a big spoon. Sensing danger, the Rai's family sought police intervention after filing a missing persons report. Shortly after, his name was being mentioned adversely by President William Ruto on the second day of his 5-day tour of Western Kenya, as he promised to revive the sugar industry, which was once the mainstay of the region's economy.
Maneno ya Mumias Boni Khalwale amesema ati kuna watu pale, na ni kweli ile maneno amesema. Kuna watu wakora, matapeli. Ati wameenda wakasema ati walikuwa wamenunua ile cogeneration facility pale. Wameenda kuleta sijui bank gani, wamepeleka mahali fulani. Mimi nimefanya uchunguzi, hakuna hata shilingi moja walilipa. Mtu anaweza kuchukua mali ya wananchi bila kulipa pesa? So hiyo makesi yote iko pale ni makesi ya ukora. Na nimeambia hao watu toeni kesi kwa hii mambo ya Mumias, kwa sababu hii ni mali ya wananchi. Hakuna kesi itafanywa mali ya wananchi. Vile mimi nimetoa madeni ya serikali, hawa watoe hii makesi, tupange Mumias upya. Mimi siwezi kubali ati watu wawili waende wagombane pale, sijui family moja, watu wawili wanaenda kugombania mali ya wananchi wa Kenya. Hiyo ujinga watawacha, na nimewaambia watakoma.
Aswant is a member of the Rai family, which controls over 70% stake in both the edible oil and sugar sector in East Africa. Some of Mr. Rai's lawyers have speculated that the abduction had something to do with the ongoing battle over the receivership of Mumias Sugar Company, which some time back saw him arrested by detectives from the Economic Crimes Unit who are investigating a Treasury report alleging an attempt by some individuals and companies to defraud the firm. Rai and his brother, based in Uganda, have been fighting in court over the Mumias Sugar Company. His tycoon brother, Sabjit Singh Rai, owner of Uganda-based Sarai Group, took over the management of Mumias Sugar Company about 1 year ago. President William Ruto has vowed to dismantle the cartels, causing confusion in the sugar subsector, demanding that two investors fighting over control of Mumias Sugar Company cease, pack up and move out.
This Mumias mpaka ikae straight. Hakuna mchezo huko. Sijui kama tunaelewana watu wa Mumias. Hapa Mumias ndio tunataka tuzalishe mali ya hawa wananchi. And we want that factory to run professionally and to run for the benefit of the sugarcane farmers and watu wa hapa Kakamega County.
On Tuesday, the Law Society of Kenya President Eric Theuri claimed that unknown individuals had been threatening lawyers representing billionaire Jaswant Rai and other sugar sector tycoons.
So by implication, it would be not far-fetched to say that the state had a hand in the abduction of Mr. Rai, because what the comments that have come out and the threats that have come out, asking parties to withdraw those cases, even at the risk that they may be rejoined with their maker, to us is a pointer that the state had a hand, or probably had a hand in that abduction, because it is consistent.
On Monday, yet another man linked to Jaswant Rai, Yogesh Patni, the managing director at Victoria Commercial Bank, was taken in for questioning as a result of his links to Jankwat Sai Rai, Mumias Sugar Company, and another company called Vortex. Weeks before his arrest, he had obtained an anticipatory bail from Commercial Court alongside Rai. The sugar sector was once the mainstay of the economy of Western Kenya, but was ravaged by cartels who have ever since exploited farmers and done everything to ensure any efforts to revive the sector fail. The government has in the past pumped billions into the sugar companies, but the money seemingly goes into a bottomless pit. This vowing his government will sort out the mess once and for all. Now, civil society groups and human rights organizations called on President William Ruto to retract his threatening statements against those he referred to as sugar cartels and issue an apology. This comes after the president blamed the aforementioned cartels for the collapse of the Mumias sugar industry, or the nation's sugar industry, including the state-run Mumias Sugar Company, over the weekend, and vowed to take them head-on. He also ordered that all current court cases involving Mumias Sugar Company's ownership and control be dropped. Led by the LSK President Eric Theuri, Haki Africa and Amnesty International noted that the president's remarks have raised questions about his commitment to uphold the Constitution and grant every individual the right to equality.
To the states, to remind them that they have a duty to safeguard lives in this country, and we cannot allow such things to happen. Specifically on the issue of River Yala, yes, the numbers have declined. We are not seeing 10, 20 bodies being retrieved from the river, but it is not completely off. Just 2-3 months ago, a body was retrieved from River Yala. This is to show that we are not yet out of the woods, and the government needs to continue on that security reform avenue so that we can take Kenya forward in terms of human rights and civil liberties.
The president's remarks to persons to flee or be deported or be detained, if they were spoken by any citizen, would be unlawful. That they are spoken by the head of a state in charge and a commander-in-chief makes it even more worrying. His remarks come a day or two before the International Day of the Disappeared. This is an internationally recognized day by the United Nations that says that no human being must be denied their right to a fair trial, that no human being can be disappeared and intimidated or even worse, killed.
To the courts, Embakasi East Member of Parliament Babu Owino has been set free in the case where he is charged, or he was charged, in relation to the shooting of Felix Orinda, popularly known as DJ Evolve. Trial Magistrate Bernard Ochoi, while acquitting the legislator, ruled that the prosecution failed to adduce enough evidence against the lawmaker. The court faulted the investigation officer in the case, saying that he failed to tackle crucial areas and termed the investigation done as shoddy. Magistrate Ochoi further noted that the main witness was never called to testify against Babu Owino. The court ruled that the prosecution failed to adduce the medical evidence to show that the victim was injured by a gun, and a ballistic report did not conclusively find the firearm was used in the shooting.
The images on a CCTV footage or statement by the victim that he was shot cannot be substitute for medical evidence. The primary evidence that ought to have been produced to prove the victim was shot by a gun was the medical report or a duly filled P3 form to confirm that the victim had suffered a gunshot wound.
This judgment has gone the way the Almighty God wanted it to go. That is how God wanted it to go. And I want to say that the day that I will be victorious is the day that I will see DJ Evolve walk.
President William Ruto on Tuesday chaired a cabinet meeting at the Kakamega State Lodge in Kakamega County. The meeting is part of Ruto's tour of the Western Kenya region, which entered the fourth day on Tuesday. He was flanked by Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua, Prime Cabinet Secretary Musalia Mudavadi, and the last cabinet meeting held was at the Sagana State Lodge in Nakuru on August 8th.
It is very good that we are having this cabinet in Kakamega, maybe for the first time in the history of Kenya. And I think it is a very positive thing to do. The rest of us have been here for a few days, and it's been a wonderful moment being in Kakamega. As you can see, we have good weather. We've had wonderful reception from the people of Kakamega. They have actually requested us to extend our stay here by a month. So you might not see us in Nairobi. You might not see us in Nairobi anytime soon.
So to the newspapers now, we've got the Daily Nation, the Standard and the Star, and these are stories that are basically at the center of conversation across the country in various magnitudes. So I'd love to kick it off with the Daily Nation, something similar as to what the Standard has said. So the Daily Nation reads, "Smart or reckless, a president's wrath." President William Ruto is a man on a mission to deliver on his campaign promises and the expectations of many Kenyans hoping for a break from the high cost of living. But even as he sets out to crush rampant cartels and revive the ailing sugar sector, his recent broadsides on the ownership of Mumias Sugar Company have stirred up a storm, a story that is on page 7. So what exactly did the president say concerning the Mumias Sugar cartel, quote-unquote cartels? He said, "We will not entertain any court cases. They should either withdraw the cases or go themselves. I told them there are only 3 things. If they want to cause trouble, they either leave the country, I take them to jail, or they go to heaven." So that is what the president said. I'll take that again. If they want to cause trouble, they have 3 options. 1, to leave the country. 2, I take them to jail, or they go to heaven. Those are the exact remarks that President William Ruto said. A story that is on page 7. So was it a smart statement or a reckless statement? You be the judge of that, because a few hours, I'd say, after that statement was made, a lot of backlash has come up from various civil society groups, including Haki Africa, the Law Society of Kenya, Amnesty International, and other Kenyans at large who disagree with what the president has said. And the sub-headline reads, "Ruto's go-to-heaven threat to sugar cartel stirs up a storm." And this he spoke on Monday while he was in the Western Kenya, in the western part of Kenya. Coming hot on the heels of the reported abduction and subsequent release of Sugar Baron Jaswant Rai, President William Ruto's explosive statement has left friends and foes alike confused as to whether he has gone rogue or was reckless or just brave in the fight against the sugar cartels in the sector. The president's declaration is likely to be interpreted as intent to disregard the independence of investigative and other institutions, because he says, they should withdraw those cases. There's only one person that has the authority to withdraw cases, or 2, I'd say. 1, the prosecution, if they want to, or two, the courts, if there's no enough evidence adduced to show that a particular person is cartelling a particular sector. So those are the two people who are at that particular moral authority, or at least legal authority, to withdraw cases in court. Also, the go to heaven remarks, which have also raised questions more than answers, concerning just, is there any abidance to the rule of law? Withdraw your remarks, LSK President and Rights Group tell President. If you've listened to the report earlier on, or at least the bites that were played earlier on, those are some of the issues as well that have come up after a press conference was called yesterday by these three key groups. Now, earlier in Bungoma, the president had egorically named Rai and appeared to link the businessman to individuals he said were sabotaging government plans to revive the sugar sector in Western region. He assured residents and local leaders that he will take the cartels head on and that no one will stand in the government's ways. So what is the biggest hurdle? Their efforts to resuscitate the sugar company or the sugar sector. A lot of sugar companies have failed, including the Mumias Sugar Company Limited, which has now basically been out of key operations for more than 10 years. So what's the way forward? The president says, there's a plan not to privatize the institution first and foremost, no privatization of the sugar company. Let it still be a key government company, pumping a lot of money to try and bring up the activities in that particular area, settle off the debts that have been accrued by the company, which owes more than 20 billion shillings to investors. So first, deal off with the debts, then now you can talk about reviving the company. So those are some of the perhaps key steps that you'd say the government has put up in place to revive this company, which is at the center of Western Kenya region's economy. Efforts to reform the ailing sugar sector in Western have faced legal roadblocks. Quite a number of cases have been put up in court, either due to what is owed to the investors by the company, or just who owns the Mumias Sugar Company itself. So legal hurdles are a major stumbling block for the revival of that particular company. Kisii Senator Richard Onyonka told the president to let the due process of the law take its course and accused Ruto of trying to intimidate Rai in public. So just warrant Rai, the man that we're talking about, who is a key businessman, well, he was allegedly kidnapped on Friday, or at least from the footage that was, CCTV footage that was shown, he was kidnapped by unknown men on Friday along Woodley Lenana Road, and then on Monday he was released, but then he was told, not to say anything out to the public. So what is happening? Those are some of the key questions that are being asked. Top of the page as well of the Daily Nation, Tough Times says Kenyans withdraw 30.8 billion shillings from SACCOs. Tough Times says Kenyans withdraw 30.8 billion shillings savings from SACCOs. The SACCO Society's regulatory authority figures shows that withdrawal deposits, also known as FOSA savings, which are usually held by SACCOs as demand deposits, fell by 26.9% to 83.78 billion from 114.5 billion last year, as economic hardships hits Kenyans hard. A story on the back page perhaps showing just how broke Kenyans cashed out their savings. And there's a popular saying that goes in the economy: you save and then your savings save you later on. So perhaps just the reality of that. MPs now plot to unplug Kenya Power monopoly. Consumers will have a choice to buy electricity tokens directly from either independent power producers or Kenya Power if MPs approve proposal containing a report of a parliamentary committee. In a bid to tame the utility firm's monopoly, the National Assembly Departmental Committee on Energy is proposing to have the independent power producers, through the help of KenGen, sell power directly to consumers. Is one of the ways of reducing the higher cost of electricity. So you'll either, one, buy tokens from Kenya Power itself, like you normally usually do, or two, you buy power from independent power producers. So a lot of Kenyans would obviously go for the cheaper option. So the question will be, which will be the cheaper option? And is this a fair competition, healthy competition between IPPs and Kenya Power, as MPs seek to unplug Kenya Power monopoly, where they're the only ones that provide power to consumers? And then Babu Owino walks free in DJ's shooting case. KQ loses double on debt, weak shilling. To the Standard, also something similar to the top of the page story of the Daily Nation. Take back the death threats, leaders tell Ruto. Take back the death threats, leaders tell Ruto. Integrity crisis, President asks leaders and civil rights activists with his remarks to sugar investors, telling them, or some of them, they will either leave the country or he will jail them or he will escort them to their maker, that is God. A story that is on page 2, and I believe I've largely explained about what are the death threats involved, whether the remarks were either smart or reckless, what is at the center of it, Mumias Sugar Company. Now, according to Mazayo Stewart, the Mombasa senator, even though Rai is being accused of frustrating the revival of the sugar industry, there are better ways to address this other than a president issuing call as threats. While the LSK president, Eric Theuri, says that the demand we are making to the president is not only for him to withdraw and apologize, but to allow the due process of law to take its course to its logical conclusion. So take back the death threats, leaders tell Ruto. Top of the page as well, judges Uhuru denied jobs seek payment. Now they have moved to court seeking compensation, claiming they were victims of impunity and no reason was given for them to be denied promotions. These are the judges that, you know, were set to be promoted or to join the bench of the High Court, but never happened because of, at that time, tough wars between the judiciary and the executive. Later on, some of them were appointed were appointed by President William Ruto, actually within the first days he was in office. However, now the judges are seeking compensation. Justice Aggrey Muchelule, Justice Weldon Korir, Justice Joel Ngugi, Justice George Odunga are some of the names that have been mentioned, a story that is on page 4. Now the judges want 1 billion shillings, an apology as well after Uhuru left them out in the cold. So President Uhuru Kenyatta former President Uhuru Kenyatta initially declined to appoint the entire list of 41 judges before softening his stand and appointed the first group of 34 judges in 2021. The first 22 judges are seeking over 1.2 billion shillings, while Justice Muchelule's group wants 21 million shillings in compensation for lost income with potential for general damages. And this is not the first time that we're hearing about this. As you know, they say we had jobs, left the jobs because we were looking forward to get this appointment, or at least we had been shortlisted for this appointment by the Judicial Service Commission, but that never happened. So basically they could not go back to the jobs they used to do, and they had to wait. They were put at a standstill for more than 2 years before they were finally appointed, either the first batch by former president or the second batch who were appointed by President William Ruto. So a fresh legal showdown is looming with former President Uhuru Kenyatta. All those judges that were sidelined have reached the court. The case has been filed at the Milimani High Court and is a revisit by a second group of judges appointed by President William Ruto after he assumed power. However, Uhuru's actions now squarely fall on him, as 4 Court of Appeal judges Aggrey Muchelule, Weldon Korir, Joel Ngugi and George Odunga demand that the office of the president issue an apology. Well, that is the case in court at the moment. Western seeks to chart course without Raila, national story that is on page 8. Western seeks to chart course without Raila. The president has been camping in the area, 5-day tour, which ends today. Mali music star backs school leaders, as well as what went wrong for marathon runners in Budapest. No marathon title was recorded in Budapest. A department, for lack of a better word, or a race Kenyans are so much used to winning the marathon, whether it's the 42-kilometer marathon or the 21-kilometer marathon. So what happened? Those are the key questions that are asked in Budapest, as some of the none of the athletes were able to garner any medal in that particular long-distance race. Then finally, the Star. Why Ruto forays threatened Raila's political bastions? Why Ruto forays threatened Raila's political bastions? Ruto has been on a 5-day charm offensive in Western region. Tanga Odinga troops claim president has begun 2027 campaign. Now, I'd love to just interestingly tell you what I've really noted within the past couple of days, or at least within the past couple of tours. The president has never been to a region tour, which has gone more than 4 days at least, but interestingly, Mount Kenya region and Western Kenya region is where he has been on a tour for about 4 or 5 days. So what's brewing in the Western Kenya region, and why there's this battle for the Mulembe nation now? Now, projects launched within the Ruto's tour include a construction of a 300-kilometer road in Kakamega. He presided over the upgrading of the bitumen standard of Mumia's Musanda Road, groundbreaking of the Lurambi affordable housing project, dedication of the Lupe University Library in Busia, opening of the Busia County Referral Hospital. He launched the Muluhoba fish landing site at Port Victoria in Busia, the groundbreaking of the Bungoma County Aggregation and Industrial Park, setting up a technical training institute in Mount Elgon region. These are just some of the promises that, or some of the things that he has been doing. Apart from that also the key promises that he's made. Now, according to John Mbadi, the chairman of the ODM party, he says, I think that Azimio must be alive to these schemes. Ignoring these schemes as inconsequential will not serve the interest of Azimio. So we must be alive to this fact that the president is already in politics, and so we must know how to deal with him. And there's a key question that was asked: will Ruto manage to conquer the region with or without Raila? So why Ruto forays threaten Raila's political bastions? He has been camping in the region. Rai kidnappers returned cash, watch and phone. That's a story as well on top of the Star. A group of kidnappers who had held billionaire businessman and Kabras Sugar chairman Jaswant Singh Rai returned 20,000 they had grabbed from him. The group of about 4 also handed him his mobile phone and gold wristwatch after dropping him near Ola petrol station along Agwings Kothek Road, according to Kilimani police. Also, rapist who used wife to lure victim to remain in prison. And I am not yet done, says Kenya's track champion Faith Kipyegon, as she was one of the athletes who walked away with 2 gold medals in Budapest, and the only Kenyan to walk away with 2 gold medals. And we'll be looking forward to many more medals, perhaps even as the team Kenya gears up for the Paris 2024 Olympics. So, top of the page stories: why Ruto forays threatened Raila's political bastions on the Star. The Standard: take back the death threats, leaders tell Ruto, while Daily Nation talks about smart or reckless, a president's wrath. And those are your headlines. Well, those are the headlines this morning. We hope that you're up to date and up to speed on what is making headlines across the newspapers. Stay with us. Morning Live takes a break. We'll be back with an interesting conversation up next. You do not want to miss that.
transforming your world.
Hello, praise the Lord. My name is Pastor Joseph Musajawaza of Unfailing Love Ministries. I'm inviting you every Wednesday to join us on our program, Victory Through the Word. In this program, we teach you God's Word. We teach you to find solutions and answers to the struggles of life through the Word of God. Everything you ever go through in life, every pain, every tear, every worry, and every questions that you may ever have in this life. You may not get answers out there, but in God's Word, there are answers and there is a solution. The Bible says that God has exalted His Word above His name. In His Word, there is hope. Heaven and earth shall pass away, but His Word will always remain abide. I encourage you, engage with us as we study together, as you ask your questions, and let your questions be answered as you are built and as you hear God's Word. Our church is located in Umoja, Inako, near Olobon Hotel, just off Sango Stage along Moi Drive, and the court is known as Church Court. Give us a visit and your life will not remain the same. God bless you. Let's meet every Wednesday from 7:30 to 8:30 p.m. only on EBN television.
In a fast-paced world filled with distractions, it's easy to lose sight of what truly matters: your relationship with God. Every Tuesday and Thursday, we take you on a transformative journey of building your faith, without which it's impossible to please God. A journey of introspection and discovery of who you are in Christ Jesus.
For you to walk with God, you should not crumble when you come under pressure. Kama umeokoka, sema umeokoka mpaka mbele ya president, mpaka mbele ya chief justice, mpaka mbele ya kila mtu. Hiyo ndio kuokoka ya ukweli. Kuokoka ya ukweli.
Enjoy a faith-filled environment of worship and ministry of the Word every Tuesday and Thursdays from 9 a.m. with Reverend Felix Kevoy, exclusively on EBN TV.
Through the morning rush and the buzz, find a voice you can trust, a voice of reason, a voice of direction, and a voice of hope.
Good morning. Welcome to the Morning Live. I'm Cynthia Nanjala.
And I'm Sammy Adika. Rise and shine, folks. We hope you are ready for an energizing start to your day.
Absolutely. We are here to bring you the latest headlines and trending news stories from the world of politics,
business and finance, health and lifestyle,
agriculture and sports.
So grab your coffee, sit back and get ready for a fantastic morning of engaging discussions and news segments.
Join us through our social media handles, #The Morning Live. This is Morning Live, exclusively on EBN TV. the stress from work and it's just normal pressure at the workplace? Because you'll hear a lot of people who will say, hey, leo siku imekuwa mrefu sana, and you don't understand whether it is, just normal pressure that comes around the workplace, or is it actually the stress of the workplace?
Thank you. It's very important to know this, that there is always the interplay, because actually, if I can...
allow me to just cut you short. We're informed we should take a break as they try to fix the video signal, and then we'll be back and you can pick it up from there. So allow us to take that break. We'll be right back. Well, apologies for that interruption, but here we are back, and the conversation continues, managing stress at the workplace. My guest, Julius Gitari, a counseling psychologist. Now, before the break, we're talking about normal pressure from work and the stressful part of it. There could be such a thin line if you try to differentiate if this is just normal pressure or this is stress, or if you can pick it up from where you left.
Yeah, thank you very much, Cynthia. Let me say that even as we talk about the stress, we need first of all to identify the stress that affects normal people. Because by the stress for normal people, they are twofold. You've got what we call the internal stress and the external stress. Now, internal stress has to do with what is happening within me.
Yeah.
So I am also a source of stress to myself. I've got the ability to stress myself. Then external, they are the ones now that are coming from the environment. And praise the environment. Yeah. So as we talk about the thin line, true, those two interplays are there because my genetic composition is there 40%, plus the environmental composition 60% is there. So genetic composition play the role of being part and parcel of the internal stresses that human beings normally have. Yeah. And then the environmental now workplace there. So the line is very thin because I'm the same person who is supposed to wear different coats of arms. To wear coats of different colors. So one coat, there is the me, as I take myself the praise of work. I've got my internal conflicts, I've got my stressors. Maybe some of these stressors, they are within myself because maybe of my health. They are probably coming also from where I was interacting with the other people. I carry this as an unfinished business. I take it to the place of work. At the place of work, what do I meet on my table? I want this work by the close of business today. That's the language. And I'm carrying my my baggage of my internal conflict. So when they come together, you discover that now I am off the balance. When I'm off the balance, I'm at a state of now being stressed, and this is the stress that is now likely to affect my performance. Is going to make me to be very much agitated, very aggressive, very violent. I tend even to withdraw from people, and I write there, I'm busier than I look, because I don't want anybody to interfere with me, because I'm struggling with my inner conflicts. Then the environmental pressure is there. So the two, they work simultaneously in an individual. Yeah. The internal and external pressure, they work simultaneously in an individual. So the need for self-awareness is very, very, very critical, so that you can be able to separate personal pressure from work, pressure, so that you don't bring your stress to me. Your internal stress, don't bring them to me. Leave them at the gate. The watchman is there. Leave those ones there. Come to the place of work.
Yeah.
Let us work. If they even carry your stress, if you don't want to do with them, and go back with them home.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so you've spoken about the two types, which is internal stress or the internal conflicts, as well as environmental or external stress. So if you could start with the internal one, just to understand. What are some of these factors that may contribute to me having that internal, conflict within me, which ultimately leads to internal stress?
Thank you. Now, internal stressors are many. One of them, we talk about our hormones, and this actually our hormones. Remember when we talk about biology or bio, we talk about the body plus the body hormones. So they play a critical role. They determine whether you're going to be a happy person to even as come to do the presentations in the studio, or you're going to be a very, very moody presenter, and you're going to make our day to be very, very bad because of your appearance. So, and the moons will always swing because bio, that's we talk about it, the body. The body, based on whatever we are eating, based on the interaction with the environment, the mood will always swing. The food we are eating also is going to affect our mood. Then, of course, we also talk about our personality types, the body humors that we are having, the bland, the yellow bile, the black bile, and even the frame. They determine how we are also managing these pressures on the environment. Then, of course, our genetic composition also play a major role. Plus, of course, our thoughts, our feelings, and our interpretation of whatever is happening, because every individual is wired with a genetic predisposition for inventing disturbing disturbances, and they get disturbed about the disturbance that they have been invented. So all those perceptions, what we call the mental processes in general, that is the thought, the feelings, the perceptions, the motivations or the motives, they play a major role in a person's ability to behave, either to stress themselves or to manage the stresses. Yes.
And you said, for the internal one, it's just at about 40%, while the external is at about 60%. But if you look at all this that you've mentioned, our thoughts, our feelings, genetic composition, mood swings, sounds like it should be more than 40, shouldn't it?
Yes, because even when we talk about our central nervous system, also the sympathetic nervous system and the parasympathetic nervous system, when we talk about 40%, we are talking about 40% of the whole being. Yes, because they play a major role. But because they are lower than the environment, when it comes to management, remember genetic conditions, you don't have the cure for them. If you are born with a congenital condition, you only need to learn how to cope with it. But the environmental factors are manageable because, remember, they assist the process. So even when you talk about the rehabilitation, don't focus on the genetic side. The emphasis should be on the environmental. Because congenital conditions, we live with them. But environmental conditions, we can manage. And I guess that is the purpose of being here this morning. Yes.
So now let's go to the environmental one or the external one, because I could have just had, a very good morning, woke up very well, no mood swings at all. But when I get to work, it seems like everything around me seems to irritate me. Either it's, how my colleague is talking to me, or just how this morning the work seems to be a bit too much. So there are all these external, conflicts that lead to that external stress. So what are we looking at exactly?
We're looking at the triggers. Yes, these are the triggers. And those triggers, they remind you of something. And triggers again come from, the triggers will touch the area on subjectivity or whatever is happening, plus the objectivity. Now, this particular person who has detained you at the workplace, maybe it's your supervisor, probably is your boss. Before you say that they have irritated you, first of all, we go back to you as an individual. The devil is on you again. We go back to you. And we look at the way you interpreted whatever was said to you. Was it from a subjective point of view or objective point of view? Because every individual approach the world, not the way the world is, but the way the world appear to them. So, and therefore we come from a phenomenological world, we come from a subjective world. I am seeing the one from my own point of view. which is different from the way you are seeing. So, for instance, this couple might be seeing it as if it is white, but you might be telling me that it is a gray. And you are right and I'm right.
Yeah.
You are right and I'm right. So the source of conflict is our subjective world. If we move from subjective world to the objective world, whereby if I write a figure like letter 9 from my side, you'll be saying it's not that it is 6. And me, I'm saying it is 9. So the two of us, we are going to be in a state of conflict because you are seeing it from your own frame of reference. From your frame of reference, number 6 is 9. Sorry, number 6, number 9 to me is 6 to you. And me, I'm seeing number 9. So we are going to have a lot of conflicts because I'm seeing it from my point of view, you're seeing it from the point of view. Until we move from that world and now come to the one whereby we are going to exchange our seeing glasses, which we normally call in counseling empathy. We will fight and we even go for demonstration. For a simple thing, 6 is 9, 9 is 6, so we will really be there. So subjectivity. So the most important thing is before I react, I need to put myself in your frame of reference and ask myself, by the what is this that made you to interpret my letter 9 as 6? What is this? If I enter there now, I'm moving from the one of subjectivity to objectivity, and as a result, we'll come to a consensus. And that's one way of resolving conflicts. Moving from my subjective point of view to the objective point of view, and my client or my subject also moving from the subjective to from the objective point of view. So, because I've said I am wired with the ability to think in a crooked way, and I create personal disturbance because I have, assuming I call you a very simple term like a hingut. You know, over the weekend we didn't like to enjoy the hingut choma together. But then you started now trying to interpret ingot does not mean that sweet meat. It means that dirty goat that make noise. So I didn't tell you that. I only called you a he-goat. But now the interpretation you attach to a he-goat is not that it's going to cause us stress. So our interpretation, if we change our interpretation of whatever is happening from the environment, our thought processes and our feelings, definitely we'll be able to, and always being in charge of even our feelings, then definitely our behaviors and our actions will be very, very, very okay, and we'll always be at harmony, because we need harmony with ourselves and harmony with the significant others. Yes.
And you know, you've talked about subjective and being objective, and you've made it sound so simple, but in real sense it can be quite difficult, because the moment somebody talks a certain way to me or does something to me, I'll be so quick to, you know, to be very personal. I'll be so quick to be very personal and not understand, okay, what led you to talking to me that way, or what led you to doing this the way you did. So it can be so difficult, can it?
Correct. It can, because again, I am unique at singular. You are unique at singular. And my ability not to understand your frame of reference also will bring challenge. Then again, the level of awareness you are having and the level of awareness I'm having is very, 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 very critical. That's why we need now to do a lot of sensitization and help the people, first of all, to define what self-awareness is all about, which we normally define as the ability to acquire self-knowledge, self-understanding, and self-acceptance. Because if you have not accepted yourself, definitely you're struggling with yourself. And therefore, you are waiting for me to make a simple comment, which is a trigger, and it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. See what you are saying about me? So because people come also loaded, aggregated with what you call the defense mechanism to protect themselves from being destroyed by the environment. So those defense mechanisms, again, now those are now what we call psychological disturbances. Those are sources of psychological disturbances. The defenses that we are using, because when you're using defenses, you are defending yourself. You are not right, but you want to justify yourself that you are right. And that's one of the major causes of psychological disturbances. That's one of the areas that psychologists tend to help people to deal with. Stop defending yourself, be yourself, stop justifying yourself, and as a result, you discover that the energy you are using to be who you are not is very, very little, and that will assist you to manage your stress levels. Yes.
Okay, so now that we've identified what might cause stress at the workplace, we've got the internal factors and the external factors. Now let's talk about this person that is already stressed. How does this person look like from a second party point of view, I'm looking at this person, am I able to determine now this is a stressed person? Am I able to do that?
Yes, because stress affects your physique, it affects your thoughts, it affects your feelings, it affects your interpersonal relationship, that is you and the other people. It also affects yourself and yourself in what we call the interpersonal relationship. It affects you, it even affects you spiritually. Assuming at the workplace we've been having the lunch hour fellowship or the morning devotion, and then this time you're not coming, and the justification is that I'm busy. I'm busy. That's an indicator. You started withdrawing. So it affects you spiritually. You're the same person.
Withdrawal sign.
The withdrawals will be there. The inability to enjoy the activities you used to enjoy before, it will be seen. Physically, you'll be able to see now these days you're having a lot of wrinkles on your forehead, and you have not aged. Then again, also probably your appetite might shoot up or go down, especially for 3 days. Your appetite will shoot up when you're under stress. Mine will go down.
So I tend to eat a lot.
And you are not eating healthy food. Junk. You are junking yourself a lot. And then again, your interaction with other people now, you are always looking at the mistakes. You are also becoming suspicious. And even your grooming changes automatically. Your grooming changes. You are the person who has been really coming, and we have been saying that today you look very sharp. And that is my weakness. So whatever you call weakness. So all those kind of comments now, you start discovering that now even you're not making your hair well. You are this kind of a lady who would always exchange your attires. Now you are coming with one dress for the next 1 week. We are seeing the wimpy on your teeth. You have not even brushed your teeth. So that is an indicator that things are not very, very, very much okay. Then when you go to the phone, you are not courteous enough. Even your walking style now change. You start behaving like a suspect. Even the police can stop you on the road because things are not okay. And also, when we look at you in terms of psychologically, you are always quarreling with the people because you are mentally disturbed. And then all of a sudden, you start now hearing you talk about taking some painkillers because of maybe a condition like migraine, that is a headache that does not go just with the painkillers. So, and also we discover that these days you don't want even to say hi to your colleagues. So some of the indicators that somebody is under stress. Yes.
So how extreme can the situation get? Because, you know, I assume there are levels to it. You know, when something is stressing you at the start, you might take it lightly, and then eventually things now start changing, and it's overcrowding your thoughts, your physical, you know, appearance now changes. So how extreme can this stressed person look like? At what point do we now say, okay, now you need a lot of help?
Thank you. Now, stress comes in levels, and by the way, stress is for normal people.
Normal people.
Stress is for normal people because normal people have got 3 major sources of stress levels: from domestic, work, and the social setting. Abnormal people do not interact at the social level, at the domestic, at the workplace. We have never seen an advertisement that one of the qualifications, you must be mentally ill, you must be mad. So it's for normal people. So stress, and the only absolute deliverance from stress is rotting in pieces, RIP. So stress comes in levels. And there is no way you can run away from stress. If you made a mistake to leave your bed this morning, even today, by the time you leave this place, you'll be stressed. So stress comes in levels. So if you don't manage the first level of stress, it does not die, they graduate to a higher level. So we have got what we call now the hypostress. It's not about stress, hypostress. I guess in the morning as we are trying to come with the traffic jam on the road, there's a time you started experiencing some palpitation in your heart. Oh, I might be late. That's an hypostress. It has got no jams. It's an hypostress. And it is only you who is aware you are stressed, because these are not the jams we are saying that they need to be taken to the doctor, so and so. Then the reason you always arrive here on time, it's not because you love the job. That's a lie. We have got the theory X and the Y. It is because of a stress called eustress. Yeah, that's the level 2. Level stress. Eustress. That is useful or good stress.
What does that mean?
It is a stress that make you to have a purpose in life. It's a stress that help you to meet deadlines. It's a stress that really motivate you. And those two are called the normal stresses. So, and therefore, even as talk about stress at workplace, those are the two levels I'd like us to work on. Hyper means low, the low level of stress. Whether you are on off duty, or after a few hours, I will discover you are yawning. Yawning is an indicator that you are stressed. So, hypo and the hyper should be the hypo and the stress should be the area where you should be operating. Is rather even taking loan is a useful stress because you are taking this loan to meet a certain active target. Even getting married, you think it's just a joy? No, it's stress. Even arranging for the wedding is stressful. So those are hypo stress. Those are hypo and useful stress, and they are very good. They are the reason why we are working. They are the reason we are calling ourselves hustlers. They are the reason we are talking about the wenye inchi and the wana inchis. Those are the stress. That's why you are hearing the hooting of the vehicles on the road. And those two are normal stress. Those are the levels we need to operate. Even as talk about the managing stress at the workplace, those are the levels. However, there is another level now where trouble now begin. It's called distress. Distress level is a third level of stress, and now that's an abnormal stress because that's now the beginning. It causes pain and discomfort in a person. Distress. At the point of distress, now you start now getting impaired in 6 areas of your functionality. At the distress level, this time now you start discovering you are developing dandruff in your head. You're having a lot of lashes for no apparent reason. Then you start thinking that this is the cockroaches and the caterpillars. At a particular point of distress, you are physically affected, you are emotionally affected, you are socially affected, you are psychologically affected, spiritually affected, and even philosophically affected. Now, the 6 areas of human functionality, they are purely impaired. Because at the point you can discover that you thought it's a pen you're putting on your pocket. Law, it was a toothbrush together. And that's the point you put the keys on the left hand and you're looking for them all over. That's the point of this. This is the time now you start even threatening your employer. And you can go to physical. If you joke at the distance level, you can fight at the place of work. The innocent you has really worked, and we've been really saying that you are the mediator. Now you are the one who is fighting us with the psychological stones together. So that's the distress level. And but all those distress, eustress, hypostress, they are easily manageable. It is at that particular point that the employer also recommends somebody to go and seek the services of a counselor. Yeah, because now you're saying you're not okay. It's at that particular point you start becoming somehow upset from the place of work. However, there is a higher level which is normally called the hyperstress or the depression state. Depression, by the way, is a stress condition. The hyper is the highest level of stress that the body can be exposed to, and at that particular moment now, the employer has got one alternative: either to write a sacking letter on medical ground for you, or they sack you. Now you become a liability. You are an asset initially. Up to the distance level, you are an asset. There is value we are seeing. But at the distance level or the depression level, now you're becoming a liability to yourself. And therefore, that's where now the insurance industry is getting a catch. Yes, because insurance industry is targeting the employees and the employers, not the idlers. Because idlers will not reach that level of the distress, of depression level. So, and even as we're talking right now, the level of depression is very, very, very high. You went to the place of work when you're physically fit. Now you are necessarily depression. When you look at the draw of many employees, there are a lot of drugs there. They are also taking a lot of leave days, not to go to work or to do something productive for themselves, but to go to manage their health. Arthritis is now catching up with them, and all manner of health-related conditions. Is literally 70% of the diseases that are taken to the hospital, they are not germs related, they are stress related. Yes, they are not pathological, but stress related conditions. And finally, there is a state we normally call burnout. Burnout. Yes. Final one could be. Yes, burnout is the state of frustration that comes as a result of unrealistic expectations or unmet needs. And the glory of the candle is when it is giving us light. But as it continues to burn and give us that light, it is that now waning slowly by slowly. Finally, it's burnout. And burnout is a common condition, especially for the new employees, because they come with the condition that the new broom sweeps cleaner. So as they come to sweep clean, People like Cynthia, who has been in the system, they know the system, they have learned our system operate very well. So you step aside to give them the space to clean better, only to discover that the level of frustration is very, very, very high. Then again, frustration is coming because we are coming with the so-called high qualification, and you forget what we call the experience, the on-job training. So you come with your PhD, you come with your master's, you come with your degree, and you meet the people with the certificates and the diplomas.
And they do the job well.
And they do the job well. But to think, because you've got qualification, you are going to be their boss. Who told you? That is your own internal conflicts. That is your own internal source of stress, because you have got unrealistic expectations. You don't know, you've not even learned the culture of this organization, because every organization has got its own culture. The promotion procedures you don't know. You come with very big papers expecting that your salary is going to shoot up. Maybe after the probation period of the 3 months or the 6 months, depending on the organization. Then you discover it is not so. 10 years down the line, you are still on the same grade. Now what happened? The growth of the capital starts diminishing. And before you know it, you are the same person to write even suicidal notes. You are the same person who is going out to write the resignation letter.
Yeah.
And it gives the company joy. Yes, that you are living. In fact, you are creating an opportunity. You are also a stress. That's the thing for it. So, burnout is a bad condition. Actually, burnout is a topic on its own that needs to be readdressed, because many employees, they also burn out, and that's why they really badmouth the organization because of what has happened. But I'm at the point of now hyper stress. Many employees are going for retirement. They are being rendered jobless before the time for retirement, simply because of this depression, simply because of now the hyper stress, because they never took care of themselves. They lacked self-care, and they forgot the so-called work-life balance, whereby you need to know that work should be left at the workplace. After you leave the workplace, you are a different person, into a different coat altogether. You need to put on another acting attire and go to the other institution. So that failure to separate work and personal life and the family life will cause a lot of stress, and before you know it, you are returning back to the family that you're looking for money to come and nurture with the sicknesses. Now you're becoming even a bigger burden to the family, and this family you're also going to put it down, because you're coming to bring sicknesses at home, which will deplete the little resource that they have been having, and as a result, you leave now the family poor, and you're supposed to leave a will and not a bill. Yes.
Yeah, and you've mentioned about the suicidal level, and there was a case before, which was about a year ago, where there was a doctor who was, employed by the government, but she passed away. She took, suicidal drugs, left a suicidal note, said, the work is just too stressful. And so it can be so extreme to that particular point where, the employee, believes suicide is the only way. So how do we manage the stress that we have, so that as much as we're talking about these levels, hypo, stress, the distress or the eustress, it doesn't get to the burnout level where we're looking at death cases? How do we manage the stressfulness that comes with the job?
Thank you. Now, there are so many strategies for managing stress. First and foremost, we need, first of all, let me begin with the internal aspect, whereby we are trying to look at our genes, our genetic composition. And our genetic composition, we have got the level of resilience that our gene have. Based on what we call the diathesis stress model, we normally say that there are some people whose genetic composition is able to, they're exposed to the same situation, they're able to withstand higher levels of stress than others. That's why the same organization, assuming it is an EBN organization, you are here, there are some stress levels which are here, but you're coping very well. Another new employee come, and before you know it, they have started having what we call somatic conditions. Somatization, by now the body itself started manifesting. You are coming with the swollen eyes, you are rimping, that is somatic conditions. You are having all manner of swellings in your body, all manner of lashes, that is somatic conditions. Then again, it gravitates now from somatic to psychosomatic, whereby now your mind together with your body, they are being affected, and now it becomes psychosomatic conditions. So we look at our genetic makeup. There are some people whose genes are very weak.
Yeah.
And because of the weakness of their gene, definitely when exposed to stronger environmental stressors, they go down very easily. So we need to be aware of that. So that now this individual, the reason in the Employment Act there is the leave days. This particular person, when now they discover that there is imbalance, that definitely they need now to be going for what? For some support, for leave, so they can be able to do self-care. Number two, also the diet we eat is very, 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 very critical. And on the area of the diet, people need to know, first of all, their blood groups, because life is based again. When God put the blood group A, blood group B, blood group O, blood group A and B, He knew those differences are very critical, and some of the diseases, they are blood related. And I guess that's a topic for another day. Then, so that at least you also don't eat food that the food was brought to the place of work you ate, and what happened is that you develop a lot of allergy and a lot of food poisoning. Before we bring food poisoning, we also need to understand our blood group and the type of food we are eating, because that can be a major stressor for us. Even though people would not want to take even the normal sukuma, and if you're not eating sukuma week, where would you get the sukuma mwezi? So there are people who will react to that. Then the other thing, we also need to understand also our hormones. Our mood conditions. The mood will be affected by the environmental changes. Remember, with this kind of erratic weather that is changing, right now it is cold, tomorrow it's hot. It has got the ability to affect individuals, so that we can be able to know how to regulate the weather conditions and know the dress to wear when the weather is changing, because that also is a major contributor. Then the next thing is our thoughts. We need to really safeguard our thoughts. We need to safeguard our feelings from within ourselves, and interpretation of what is happening in the environment, very critical. That's from within. Then also understanding we have got the type A personality and the type B, which is made up of the hormone of the body fluids. Like if you've got the black bile people, it produces some behaviors of the people we normally call the melancholics. If you've got the yellow bile, it produces these people who are drunk with the work, the workaholics, because it produces the cholerics. If you've got a lot of mucus in your body, it produces the phlegmatics. People who are too loyal to be even abused. You are too loyal to be abused because you are the place of work, but I'm sending you to the supermarket to go and buy mandazi for me, because you are too loyal to be sent until your job is like utumishi kwa wote. You can do anything and everything. So those kind of low confusion. Then with those people with a lot of blood, the sanguine, you really make noise like a monkey anywhere and everywhere, until now we wonder, when are you going to meet the goals and objectives? So the sanguine, because of the blood, they are the ones who are given also extra work, because of the way you're entertaining us, you become the MC. You are the one to become now, and you are the one to be reading the Bible and singing chorus for us, because you are sanguine, not because of not because we are born again, but because of we have picked something. You really crack a joke, but remember you're supposed to, as you crack a joke, remember you're supposed to meet with your targets, job targets. That's why these are appraisals. So that's very important. Those are from within. And therefore this dimension, we have to be very, very careful with them. Yes, because somebody like the workaholic part of the choleric, they will be making jokes without laughing, and they are doing their work. So they will finish the work on time. Sanguine will be seated there listening to the jokes without working. So what is the cause of stress? You never did your bit because of your personality wiring. You are there listening to the jokes and laughing and even adding more jokes to the jokes. Therefore, there was pending work. Then we look at the external factors. One of the critical things is that there must be good job description. The JD should be there. job description need to be done at the place of work. Then the organization also need to be organizing team building activities so that we bring the routine. Team building activities need to be embraced. Then appraisals, staff appraisals should be regular. The staff appraisals. If you do something good, I should not just assume, because like the choleric, they operate on their hand. They think that they don't do thank you, but it was an imagination. It's only themselves in their mind who said thank you, but it never came out of the mouth. So people are getting stressed here. You didn't appreciate what I did. So appraisals, and that's part of the motivation. Then we require regular motivations, and motivation can come in terms of token economies. Motivation can come in even me giving you a day off. It's part of motivation, because the topic on motivation is also very wide. We cannot necessarily talk about money as the motivation, because I give you money today, after 2 weeks you say that it's not enough. So money is not a motivator per se. People should be aware of that. Then also we need to be also changing our environment. You need to change your environment. Like if you always used to sit the way you are seated, also change the sitting position. Next moment you need to sit where I am. Sit where a certain direction, change the other direction. Yes, then also ensure that you put that bed at the center of the room, not at the corner. Do you think that that's the time you're going to get enough sleep because it is at the corner? That is a fear that came from the origin of the hyenas, when they used to take people from the houses. And of course, also have what we call now teamwork at the place of work. I am because we need each other. I need you, you need me. So teamwork is very, 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 very important at the place of work, whereby I need some support from you, you need some support. Then of course, don't be carrying your baggages alone there and you pretend that you are the most disciplined person because you're keeping quiet. No. There is always a good person at the place of work whom you can always share your challenges in life, and that particular person needs to maintain that information with the highest level of confidentiality possible. And of course also, face your boss. Your boss is not an animal. Actually, the reason you are there is because they are getting a lot of value. Face your boss. Tell him exactly what is happening. Then your leave days should not be exchanged for cash. Many people don't want to go for leave. They want to settle their days. So can we go for leave? And when you go for leave, stop instructing us where the file is. Go for leave and go for leave completely. Be absent. This story of as you go for leave, remember we'll be calling you. That is not part. That should not be part of the job description. If you went for the leave, unless people don't understand the meaning of leave, go for leave completely, and it's not telling us the file is there on the shelf. I also left the key. No, those kind of nuisances should not be part and but those are baggages we're taking back at home. No, go and relax. And for the Africans, when you go for leave, don't go now to clear the bushes and to shake the termite or whatever in your house. No, go for leave like the Wazungu. Not because I've got money, but they do self-care. Then of course, sleep well and shower with a plenty of water. Dance. Yeah, don't shower with a cup of water here. That's now creating more stress. Passport says showering. No, a plenty of water. Then also, and it's also very important to take by the cold bath. A cold bath is more healthy than the hot one. Though we like the hot one, but a cold one is better. Yes. Yeah.
There's one more factor. These drugs we call antidepressants.
Correct.
Yeah. I've seen a lot of situations where people just take antidepressants and then they think, oh, within a duration of time I'll be back to normal, I'll be okay. How much do antidepressants really play a role in managing stress, and are they effective eventually?
Now, you went for the job interview. You are declared physically fit. There is a clause whereby we say you fail whether you've got any healthy conditions. Now you feel that you didn't have one. So then where is this place whereby now you are coming up with to take a depressant and you are healthy? If I go back the file, the form you are feeding, you didn't have any ailments. And this ailment has not started from the place of work, or it has started from the place of work. We need to go back to the drawing board. Where did the rain start beating us? Where did our umbrella get torn, so that they can start leaking? So that's very, 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 very important. Now, as we take at the depressant, it means that we are already depressed. as you take drugs, let me be very, very, very categorical that as you start taking drugs, we need to understand that already our immunity is down. And the cure for immunity, the drug is only supposed to boost your immunity back, then you maintain it. And the immunity will be maintained by proper dieting. Part of self-care is whereby you love yourself selfishly. And when you love yourself selfishly, you continue to do now what you are doing. You know, now I'm seeing you taking water here without giving me. That is self-care. You know, it's not because you are mean, it's self-care. You love yourself selfishly, and you fulfill the biblical principle that you love yourself, you love your neighbor as you love yourself. So it must begin with you. Take care of yourself. So when you start taking antidepressants, definitely what you are doing is that you are already temporarily managing. Therefore, when you lack money to buy it, what happened? You relapse. And when you relapse, you go now down to the pit, where by now you'll be more, the condition will be more serious, and for you to be removed from the pit, whereby you can even go to the state of being in a coma state. So to remove you from there, you require even a higher dose. Now what are you doing? You've already destroyed your immune system. So our immunity need to be boosted by ensuring that we are eating very well. We are having what we call homeostasis. You are having the balance between work and leisure, and this balance need to be maintained. That's why today we are talking about the workplace, what we call it the work-life balance. There must be a balance. When you discover that the way last night I didn't sleep, I think I'm getting depressed. That's why I'm having this insomnia, and therefore I need to take an off. So it is you to use your internal supervisor to know what is happening within you, so that you take the initiative to go for help. And the help is a stone throw. So don't go, remember, as you go to the pharmacy, a pharmacy is a shop for selling drugs. It's just a supermarket for selling drugs. And to the pharmacists, anything you tell them, any sign and symptom you tell them about yourself, they have got a drug for that, and they are not cheap. So then if you are working for money to go and buy drugs, you don't need to work. If I'm earning salary to go and buy drugs at the pharmacy, I don't need to work. No, I am better be jobless. So those are the antidepressants. They have got some side effects. Sometimes they might even be causing nausea to you. Sometimes they might make your body to start now sweating, and we think you are healthy, but it is a somatic condition that your body is somatizing the stress in terms of now those manifestations. They might also destroy other body organs like the heart, the lungs, the kidneys, because that's why when you see people taking drugs, many times even the urine is never pure, because the kidneys are really straining a lot to clean up that kind of poisons in the system. So you might end up destroying other body organs, and by the end of the day, you become now a vegetable to yourself. You should not be a vegetable. No.
Now, as you wrap this conversation up, because I'm being informed we are out of time, and I need you to answer this in just a few minutes. There's a saying that goes, Jen from the HR says, people should do yoga for their mental health, but instead she should just pay people well. So we have this notion around that as long as I get that additional salary or I get money, I'm okay. My stress at workplace will go down. Is that notion really the best way to deal with stress at work? That, just add some few coins to my salary and I'll be good?
No. Actually, the more the money, the more the trouble. Yes, so that notion should not be there, because what happens is that now, as we add the money, you become people pleaser. You want to praise people, so that you work more. You cause a lot of wear and tear to yourself. That should not be the notion. Money should be part of the parcel of the job description and the procedure for appraising the staff appraisal. And therefore, what people need to do is let them balance their output. The initiative, the management should ensure that they motivate the staff without necessarily trying to use them bait. It's called a bait. So we should not use those kind of baits on the hook to trap the people. Rather, we need to appraise them in a better way. Yes, so let's run away from that.
So I'd love to wrap this conversation up. Perhaps I'll just give you an opportunity to have the final word on managing stress at the workplace. As you said, it all begins internal. as much as it is just about 40% of the whole body. But if you leave home and you are not in a good mood, you will definitely not be in a good mood at the workplace. So final word as we wrap it up.
Final one is that don't go to the place of work to become angry-named, to destroy people because of internal things.
Yeah.
You went when you are physically fit, psychologically fit, emotionally fit, spiritually fit. Go back home when you are fit, and even more healthier, instead of bringing stresses and the problem back at home. And you also need to know that you matter more than there's no genetic predisposition for you to be employed. You matter a lot, and therefore be selfish to yourself and manage your health, because your health is your wealth.
Yes. Your health is your wealth. Thank you so much, Julius Gitari, a counseling psychologist, for coming in this morning to share on just how we can manage stress at the workplace. And I'll just repeat what I said earlier. Your workplace is your second home. You spend almost 8-9 hours, depending on the job that you do at the workplace. So you need to remain sane as much as possible. It all begins with you, your thoughts, what you eat, your hormones, and then eventually, at the workplace, are you subjective or are you objective? So those are the key issues that you need to take home. And that brings us to the end of our conversation this morning. Thank you so much for watching, for your feedback. You can re-watch this through our social media platforms on YouTube and on Facebook on EBN TV. In case you missed it, the conversation can always keep going. Well, that is where